You could escape the 9-to-5 rat race. You can do it. And the good news is you don't need to be making £10,000 a month like social media tells you. It's nonsense. You don't. You just need to know your specific number to replace your salary, to walk away from your job, to then work from home and then begin scaling from there. In this video, which is going to be very raw, real, no fluff, like all of my videos, I'm going to give you some direction on what you should be doing and also the sacrifices you need to be making in order to break out of the rigged system. And we all know it's rigged. I've done loads of videos on it, but I'm just going to give you the tools, the resources and the solutions to actually getting out of a 9-to-5, because every single one of you watching me has the capabilities of working for yourself. It might just be a lack of education. You might just not know what to do and you feel lost and uninspired, and maybe this video helps give you that push, because that's the purpose of it. So look, without further ado, let's pop up some of my slides on screen. Let me read out some of my quotes that I recently shared on my social media. The reason you still have to work a job is because you prefer to act and look rich opposed to actually being rich. So here is my advice and personal approach. Act broke, live like a minimalist, and you will become rich. Continue to act rich, and that's how you will continue to be broke and a slave to the wage. Until you are prepared to make significant financial sacrifices for years on end, you will remain a broke slave who pretends to be rich, living for the weekend and still asking permission to have a day off. Harsh, but true. Next one. Now, this came from the heart because it truly scares me how many people will work for someone else for 45 years dealing with, and this is the reality, anxiety, bullying, burnout, alter egos, loss of identity, depression, office politics, lack of respect, micromanaging, low self-esteem, toxic environments, no family life balance, treated like a replaceable number. But yet most people won't even try to build something for themselves whilst working a job and stick with it for 5 years straight. The slides I'm going to show you, by the way, are really going to break down that there are no more excuses. I truly and wholeheartedly believe there is no excuse for someone not to try and live the life that they should be living, with purpose and fulfillment, and have ambition, and just take responsibility and become financially independent rather than relying on an employer, which is becoming incredibly risky, especially with AI and restructuring a lot of these companies now because of the advancement of AI and technology. You should be taking responsibility, and there's no excuse on the back end why you haven't started building something for yourself. Now look, the average salary, by the way, in the UK is around about £2,500. But this chart here shows you kind of a few breakdowns of if you're single, living in the UK average, in London, a couple, no children, a couple with no children living in London, a couple and 2 children. I'm not going to read them all out, right? You can see them in front of you. But the yearly income here, none of it has gone above 100,000. And what we've got is monthly income of nearly 2.5, 3.3, 3.1, 4,000, 4.1, 5.8, 3.8 and 6.6 monthly income. All of this is possible by building a basic online business, service, product base, some form of a SaaS, agency, membership, consulting. I mean, it's so possible to replace the average salary. So why would you put up, and let's just hop back to a slide, why would you put up with the anxiety, bullying? Do you know one of the most common questions I get asked if I do a live stream on YouTube or my TikTok is, Aaron, how do I deal with a bully? How do I deal with micromanaging? Well, let's just take the first part. How do I deal? You shouldn't. You shouldn't be dealing with it. That's the whole point I'm getting at. Why put up with it when it's too accessible to start something for yourself where you can turn around to all these people and go, F you, I've had enough. Like I did. Now look, making financial cutbacks. The important part about all of this is actually managing your money. The real crippling and the entrapment with employment to why most people don't break free is what happens. They go and get a job because that's what that's what their parents tell them to do, what school tells you to do. Henry Ford and John D. Rockefeller, they didn't want you to think. They wanted you to go get a job 8 to 10 hours and basically just be a robot. And the problem with that is you get given a salary and you think, oh, I'm being paid 2,000, 2,500. You've got a partner, you've got a husband, you've got a wife. Well, we'll start spending that salary. We'll get a mortgage to what we can afford. We'll get a car to what we can afford. We'll get some direct debits, a Netflix, Amazon Prime. Then you need your salary because you're spending all this money. You've got credit cards, you've got debt, you're going on holidays you can't afford. Now you need the income. Now the employers are like, haha, I've got you on my puppet strings. You are mine, servant, slave, sheep. Like, this is the reality. I'm making a light heart of it, but it is the truth. You become trapped by the wage, which is where wage slavery comes from. It's totally true. So you need to make cutbacks. This is something I was very good at. The thumbnail will pop up on screen is where I explain about my 33 bank accounts, which is something like 35, 36 now. But go watch that video to see how I manage my money. Go find it on my YouTube. Just type in Aaron Knightley bank accounts. I've managed my money very well, and I've been featured in papers, on my money management, and people have found it very interesting on how I've been able to financially secure me and my family just because I'm not a big spender. Well, we're not big spenders in our family, right? So reduce your expenses. That's where the winner chicken dinner is. And as you can see on screen now, you can do things such as reducing nights out, takeaways, and we've got here, Americans spend $3,000 plus per year eating out, whereas the potential savings for them could be £50 to £200 a month. Same with cancelling and downgrading subscriptions, right? We've all had those subscriptions. I've cancelled many of mine years ago, but you could reduce that down to £50 to £100 a month. Lower energy bills up to 20% annually. Reduce impulse buying, non-essential, materialistic items, £50 to £150 reduced. Switch to public transport, walk more, become more healthy, get your 10,000 steps in, during the summer, and you could reduce transport costs to 30 to 50%. So you can make these changes. Right, how can you actually replace a salary? I've given you 5 models which I think are great. I do have another video, it will pop up on screen. What business models can replace your job? This is a full course tutorial. Do go watch that video, and it deep dives how you can replace your salary. It is possible. This isn't cliche, this isn't a gimmick. Like, if you commit and you dedicate, you can get out of your job if you wish to do so. But look, let's have a look at some of my favorite models, and I use all of these. So print on demand, just for a quick show, my Life by Design books, I make about £6.50 profit on all of it, net after all expenses. So, let's just do that, £6.50, sell a minimum of 40 units a week, £260 a week times 52. It's all passive. That's nearly an extra 13.5 grand a year passive income. Nice little retirement pot to another one of my streams of income. Print on demand. So sell something for £10, 250 sales a month by building a brand. Yes, you're gonna have to put the work into the people who say, well, you need an audience to do that. Yes, go and build an audience, get on social media, build trust, add loads of value, and do exactly like I did and millions of other people on YouTube, and then start selling your products and services. There's nothing wrong with it. This is in the modern day and age that we live in. Investment deals. This is what allowed me to leave my job. I was raising huge amounts of commission. I got into finance at a very young age. I just learned how to build relationships with investors. I think this is one of the quickest and most exciting ways of getting into business and building relationships, because business is all about relationships. If you are good with people, you are good at building a network, you're likable, you've got no chip on your shoulder, and you love communication and interaction with people, go raise money for companies, startups, property companies, and go and raise money from investors, and then charge commissions on the front end, on the exit, on the success deals, brokering fees, there's loads. Regulated, non-regulated, whatever you get into. But you could be charging anywhere from 5 to 10 to 15%, depending on the type of deal that, is being structured between investor and client. Do one deal. 50k. Do one deal a month. Go and sell a freehold, or go and connect a freehold with a family office. Go charge 2.5% on a £3.5 million building. Do that once a month. Bish bosh bash, you've replaced your income. It's not that easy. Of course, you've got to build the relationships. You've got to build trust, credibility, get your marketing, get on LinkedIn, build your brand. Of course, you've got to do all of that, right? Let's not state the obvious to the people that will go, well, it's not that easy. Of course it's not, but I'm just explaining the process. Memberships. I do these as well. Membership, £29 per member. Get 87 members. If you're really good at, building a community, and you're great at being the host, and you're vibrant and you're energetic and you inspire people, you motivate them, and you bring people together that are really looking for that attachment and they want to communicate and network with like-minded people, put a little price tag on it. Maybe you start running a free membership, but then charge £9.99, and then 6 months later bump it up to £19.99, and then go to £29, and then go to £60 and £100, right? I've got a membership. There's loads of other people that have got memberships. There's loads of platforms that you can use. Let me turn my Alexa off. Alexa off. Always comes on at 4:30. Memberships. Low entry, no startup costs. And if you like people and you're good at bringing people together, go be the host with the most. Coaching. £100 per session. do 25 sessions a month, you've replaced an average income. If you get really good and you build up your personal brand, you know, I'm charging 200 between, well, depending on the type of call that I'm having, I'm between 200 to 250 pound an hour. And to all the people that say, how are you charging 200 to 250 pound an hour? Because I'm worth every penny. And I'm fairly on the cheap side, believe it or not. I've got friends that charge 599 for an hour's call, or, you know, 3,000 for a yearly membership. So coaching and consulting is a great way to just start on your laptop. Buy Zoom Pro, which is going to cost you $14.99 a month. Get Wi-Fi, and you can sit at home building a coaching and consulting business from your lounge. £100 per session. Obviously get to the point where you've got a credible brand. Everything starts with the marketing and the branding, by the way. We're going to come on to that. 25 sessions, you've replaced your 9 to 5. Online programs. Create a course, share your knowledge, package it up, over-deliver in value, charge £197 per course, sell 13 programs a month, you've replaced an average 9 to 5. And the great thing about programs and memberships, you can create automation, systems, processes, you can outsource, hire a VA, all this kind of stuff. Now, people might be sitting there thinking, yeah, but how do I do all that? How do I learn it? I haven't got the money to pay. Well, let's check out the next slide. Free resources. There are no more excuses. So you can learn from YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest. You can advertise on all of those. You can DM people on all of those. You can connect and communicate. But that's where your marketing is, right? All free. Then you've got the resources below. ChatGPT, Linktree. I use Go High Level. Again, if you want to get your free 30-day trial with Go High Level, use the link in the description. I've used MailChimp. I've used Zapier. I've used ClickFunnels. I've used Wix Business. I've tested a lot of CRM systems and platforms and software and marketing. I use Go High Level. Cheap as chips. Google, Forums, Audible, physical books, Helpbank, my friend Simon Squibb who runs Helpbank. Go and get free advice. All of that is pretty much free, or a very small monthly membership to sign up to a software or a program of some sort to give you, extra resources. Peanuts. Like literally peanuts. Reduce your expenses and stop spending money on restaurant meals and go and get yourself some of this. Audible, mentoring from billionaires and millionaires in your ear whilst on the move, time leverage, and you're basically having one-to-one mentoring with super successful people. Audible is like $11.99 or $9.99 a month. I don't even know what it is, I haven't checked. Something like that. And then finally, go to networking events, meet people, go to a marketing event, an investors event, go to a business event, book the train ticket and go into your biggest city centre and talk to people, communicate in person, online. Come to one of our online events or in-person events at Peak Performance. Get a mentor, free or paid. Again, you can pay for a coach or a mentor or get a free one from Helpbank or Facebook groups, whatever. Now, how long is this going to take, Aaron? Because this sounds like a lot of effort to try and get out your job. You know, I can't stand my job and I hate it and I'm being bullied and I'm dealing with all this rubbish, but it sounds like a bit of an effort. Yeah. You've got to self-drive yourself to do this. So the time frame, in the early stages, right, of, learning how to build a brand, because that's the first thing you need to do, market. In the early stages, look at this from 0 to 6 months. Apply 1 to 3 hours every day, learning how to scale your social media, validate the idea, create content, create a product, get your message out there. Then there's the growth phase, which will probably take you between the 6 to 12 month period. Up your hours, find the time, 3 to 5 hours a day, refine your offer, scale your marketing, become an expert in sales, right? Build an audience, get your customers, and then scaling 12 months plus, 4 to 6 hours into your business. Build automation, processes, grow the revenue, replace your job, right? Put in the hours. Now, don't worry, I've got you covered, because there'll be some people in the video that'll be thinking, well, I don't have that time. Well, I bet you do. Doom scrolling average. This is all facts. You can go fact check this online. Average consumption as a minimum is 3 hours. I've based this on the minimum. Just think, there are people out there that scroll 5 to 6 hours a day. A day, during work, in the morning, when they get home late at night, in the bath, wherever they are, laying on the couch, they scroll and watch Instagram and TikTok and YouTube shorts. Average doom scrolling, 3 hours a day. Weekly, that is 21 hours. Monthly, that is 90 hours. Yearly, that is 1,095 hours of doom scrolling. Total time wasted by consuming, not creating, 45 days and 15 hours. On average, at a minimum, most consumers, doom scrollers, are losing, let's say that again, 45 days and 15 hours of their life watching other people live or portray the life that they live. You have time to get out the 9 to 5. Which then leads me on to the next part. Well, you have extra time because guess what? We got weekends. So yeah, you work a 9 to 5 or you work shift work. I get it. I totally get it. But like me, when I was escaping my job in my early 20s, I worked the weekends. It was a sacrifice I was very happy to make. Now, some people aren't happy to work the weekends. They go, no, not working the weekends. Weekends are for fun. Well, you got to put in the hours. So let's actually have a look at the time that you could accumulate putting into your own business. Weekends worked. I've based this on 45 weekends, not 52, 45 of them. So days worked per weekend. So you work the Saturday and Sunday, only 4 hours a day. Get up earlier or stay up later. 4 hours a day, that's an extra total 90 days per year that you're going to be working on your business to get out your 9 to 5. That's an extra 360 hours you could be putting into your business. That is an equivalent of 9 weeks. That is mad. Now the activity, right? So look at this, activity, time per day, and we'll go over the notes of actually creating content, right? So now this is the breakdown of creating the content, right? Getting it out there. So content creation, 30 to 90 minutes. That's planning your post, writing your captions, filming the videos, creating like this. You know, it takes time, uploading it, sending it to an editor or doing it yourself, right? 30 to 90 minutes from actually creating the content. Engagement, something that I take very seriously, replying to all my YouTube content, to as many TikTok comments as I can, also as many as I can on Instagram, but it gets hard to manage. Reply to the comments, reply to the DMs, interact. Again, it says it here, build trust, 30 to 60 minutes a day. Then strategy and learning. I love doing this. I love listening to a podcast or watching a YouTube video. Give me inspiration when I'm in the bath. I love having a bath. You can analyze metrics, again, study trends, competitors, platform algorithms, like learn about it. 15 to 30 minutes is a perfect time because otherwise you become overstimulated. So daily hours put into creating your content and strategizing and learning, 1 to 3 hours. Well, let's just skip back. We know we have time because look at the doom scrolling average. We know we have extra time because look at the weekends we could be working 4 hours a day. So I think what I've shown here, and that's the finish of all the slides, finishing up on those. You have time. If you want to get out the 9 to 5, you can do it. And actually what I have, again, this is my prototype because my updated ones are coming. When I created my planner, you can all go ahead and get a copy of this planner. I did high value tasks, low value tasks, social media and notes. And I've only given 4 lines for each, so that you avoid procrastination. Here's the other thing when you're starting a business. I have to debunk this, and I've spoken about this, but I feel like I need to beat this drum over and over again. To build a business now, in today's day and age, it's less riskier than staying in a job. You build a business whilst you are still working a job. So now you've mitigated not paying your bills, but you've got to put in the time and effort. Well, I've just proven you have the time. It's just whether you have the effort, whether you really want it or not. And you've got to self-evaluate whether this is really for you or whether you're happy to work 45 years for someone else. And if you are, that's fine. Right? I wasn't happy for that. I really wanted to carve out my own life for me and my family. But you don't need an office. You don't need contracted employees anymore. I have friends that run very, very big businesses, right, that have physical employees, and they are getting rid of huge amounts of staff because there is AI software that is literally doing, you know, for £1,000 a year of buying the software or £3,000 a year, that they are able to replace 2-3 team members that are on a 30 grand salary in the office, and they're able to get rid of their staff, which is unfortunate, and just take on a software. So you don't need contracted employees anymore. You know, you just don't. And you don't need a limited company. You don't need to go and open up a limited company and be on Companies House. Start a sole trading company. Limited companies are if you have overheads, physical items, if you have a lot of insurances, if someone could sue you. If you really look at the numbers between what you'll take as profit, net profit, as a wage or, you know, as a dividend, and paying yourself to what you would pay yourself as a sole trader, oh God, it's fractional. Depending on your business model, absolutely fractional. You don't need a limited company. You know, you don't need to have the Canary Wharf office, and you don't need large overheads. To run a business now, you can do it with a freelance team. You can do it with cheap outsourcing. You can do it with automation, processes, VSOPs, systems, you know, like CRM systems, landing pages, funnels, sales, SMS marketing, customer workflows, data capturing, lead magnets. Again, I use Go High Level. I'll show their logo, which will pop up here. They are awesome because I've trialed so many, by the way. And then there's loads of free marketing, like we spoke about earlier. All these platforms, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, it's all for free. You haven't got to pay any money to do it. And then finally, you want to be falling into what's called profit and expense. So when you're building a business now, like me, I fall into profit and expense. So I don't have overheads. I have some overheads which are software, but not physical things, right? Used to have an office for the events company and for my finance company, but didn't need them anymore after the pandemic. We all moved to Zoom, right? So you get rid of that profit and loss, and the loss is the expenditure, staffing, things that, you know, cost you money. And now you move into expenses. So profit's super high because I don't hold any physical stock. Even with the print on demand and my books, it's all print on demand. So I'm falling into this nice profit and expense. So huge margins in profits, but a minimal expenses, which then get written off. A lot of them get written off at the end of the financial tax year by very good accountants, right? And you rejig and you make that really efficient. Whereas if you're still in profit and loss, you've probably got a shop, you've probably got overhead, you've got employees, like all this kind of stuff that you just don't want. All I can say, it is totally possible to get out of your job. If you are fed up and you are miserable, and look, to all the people that will say, well, we need workers, the economy would not, okay, I understand. We need workers. We need doctors. I respect doctors. We need lawyers. We need teachers. But it's not for me. And it might not be for you. There are 8+ billion people in the world. There will always be people doing jobs. Granted, there'll be a lot of jobs that will be wiped out and made obsolete. Definitely in the next 5 years, we'll see a mass redundancy across the economy. I'm not saying that to scaremonger, that's just the fact, that's what's coming. But it doesn't have to be you working. If you want a life which is time freedom, financial stability, sustainability, you want that cash flow that comes in that you've developed around systems and processes, and you become the marketer. So you do a lot of social media, you plug your services, products, whatever it might be, your agency, your memberships, whatever. It's possible. I'll give you 2 videos at the end of this which will pop up, which will be my 2 full course tutorials. Make sure you check out other videos such as Create to Escape. This video will really deep dive on how just creating content, you can replace your income. And then also another video, create content for 12 months and you'll never have to work again. Those 2 videos are great to watch, including my full course tutorials, which will be at the end, because they will give you a great starting point on how to figure out this journey and how to navigate it. I'm wishing you all the best. This comes all from the heart, by the way. I really want you to break out of the system because there is such an unfair exchange of time to think you enjoy the golden years when you're old and decrepit. I mean, that is the truth. It doesn't make sense to enjoy the finer things in life when you're going around with a walking stick and your back hurts and you've got arthritis and you're using WD-40 on your knees just to get up. Doesn't make sense. Why would you want to go and do a parachute jump when you've got a broken back? You want to be able to live life at 32, you know, and run around and do this and explore and, you know, like, come on. The funny thing is there will still be some people in the comments that disagree. And that's only because I've highlighted insecurities and the things that people who disagree with me and they hate on what I'm talking about, they don't like the fact that I'm inspiring and waking other people up. And again, it's a mirror to their inability to take action and live a life that's more fulfilled and purpose-driven, and they will justify that the corporate world is sunshine and rainbows. Well, we all know it's not. Listen, until next time, I do hope you like the video. Please do hit like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments, what are you working on? What are you building on? How are you escaping the 9 to 5? But until then, I wish you all the best. See you soon.